It is probably not a good idea to stand in a room full of therapists and say that I've been hearing voices in my head for over 25 years. It was never a good idea back then either. But not only that, I'm proud to tell you that I've been following those voices in my head. They have completely changed my life, profoundly wrecked them down, and helped me rebuild them in a completely different way. I hear all kind of expressions about the higher self and observant self and the true nature of self. And people don't really use the word channeling for some reason. Maybe because it suffers still from a bad reputation, mumbo-jumbo stuff, future prediction, maybe crystal ball and stuff like that. So nothing of the sort. And before I continue, I'd like to tell you that everybody, not only here because you are TP, transpersonal persons, because everybody in the world channels. May I surprise you by saying that if you, or should you, or when you stop channeling, your body will die. This is because your local consciousness is constantly connected to higher consciousness. It's just the way it is. When you think that you take a step and you make a choice in your life, and you're absolutely convinced that it's because you thought about it really well, and maybe you took an advice with someone you trust, and I'm not saying that you didn't, but who planned it all? And who is the manager up there who's whispering on your ear when you're asleep or in waking state and pushing you gently to go a certain way? How do you find your calling in life? How do you know in your heart that you love someone? What are all these quite natural human things that we do on a daily and a regular basis, if not a combination and integration of our local consciousness and the higher one? So I'll be talking about the transition of the self via three aspects. One of them I already started introducing because it's a change in perception. It is my experience in the clinic that whenever I integrate channeled information and help patients reconceptualize their life events, their complaints, their relationships with the mother, and all that regular stuff, new things can occur, but not because I added channeling, a channeled text into the session. That's addition, that's not integrating. Integrating, in my opinion, is rebuilding and reconstructing the whole therapeutic narrative in such a way that this kind of information that we have access to is normally, usually philosophical. It's about ideas, it's about intentions, it's about metaphysics. And you have to ground it into the normal life and help people translate that into emotional work. Spirituality cannot be disconnected from being a very, very practical human being who works, studies, and then wishes or does not wish to resolve emotional issues. Now, we've been coming again and again with all sorts of emotional issues. We all have our drama, the drama of the karma, okay? And it could be the drama of fear of not being seen or heard. It could be the drama of having unexplained fear of death or what have you. But all these emotional issues are here because we are shifting paradigms. And things that were regular in our lives again and again can no longer manage us or lead us should we understand the shift that we're going through, pay attention to certain things, and maybe move on. So the perception of the self, the new perception of the self, in my understanding, is looking at it as a meeting point between the personality that changes every lifetime and Her Majesty the soul. I'll call it the soul, you can call it whatever you like. For me, it's more convenient. Sometimes it's couples therapy, personality and soul in the clinic. And sometimes they're really oppositional to each other. Let's take a look at the very idea of how the personality is being formed. According to conventional psychology, it has to do with genetics and surrounding, right? And according to cosmic perspective, should we think about the way energy moves in space, it's forming, constantly forming orders and organizations out of chaos. So chaos is basically necessary in order for new organizations to come through. Now, the personality is an organization. Kornberg coined the expression of personality organization ranging from very low, could be psychotic, to low, and then mediate, and then high. The highly organized personality is stable, it's mature, and it's adaptive. So if that organization called a personality is basically stemming from chaos, then chaos is home. Nachon? That's Hebrew for right. And one can look at it the way that the personality is being formed from chaos as like a docking point, where all kind of traits and tendencies and qualities, also the fears and the patterns are being imprinted and then coming to life when a person is born again and again. So if chaos is home, and that's the place of origin, then how come when a certain personality goes to visit home, it's called psychosis, right? It's basically a regression of the soul to the place of origin. Now, let's demonstrate according to a case I love to discuss in presentations. That's Nina, and she have given a consent to be presented here today. Nina is a mother of two, and she came to the clinic about 7 years ago after 4 years of conventional therapy and 2 involuntary admissions to a mental institution admitted by her husband due to manic outbursts. She was diagnosed as bipolar years ago. When she came to the clinic, her main complaint, aside from mother issues and stuff like that, was that she felt extremely rejected. Rejected by her family, by her mother, who clearly preferred her younger sister. So working on the psychosis, so to speak, we realized, both of us, that she talked enough about her earthly home, about her mom, about her father, feeling rejected and all that. But when I asked her, so why do you need the psychosis for? Why do you think you're bipolar? It wasn't really difficult to reach a mutual conclusion that this is a place where soul can regress to an unrigid space, which is not bound to any earthly regulations or orders. She felt free there. And more than that, you cannot be rejected from the one consciousness. I mean, there is no deviation, there is no normalcy and abnormalcy, it's all included. And so taking that framework with Nina for a couple of years and more, and I'm extremely proud to say that she is no longer medicated at all. We got off all medications, no antidepressant, definitely not antipsychotic medication. So that's how we reconceptualize framework at the clinic using channeled information. That brings me to the second transition I'd like to talk about. Sit tight, and I promise I'll explain. We're shifting from a consciousness of a particle to a consciousness of a wave. Now, I'm not suggesting that you would ask your patients when they come to see you, well, good morning, Moses, and how are we feeling today? Are we a wave or are we a particle? That's not what I mean. But we people are completely convinced, we're persuaded that we are particles. We're not aware of unseen energy. What convinces us that we are particles are a few applications, brain applications, that are being implanted in our brain every time we come here. The first I call the split mechanism, convinces us that we separate from each other. The next stage, and the third one, that I am extremely excited about. I can only say a few words about because it's just stepping in, or maybe I should say, we're just stepping in this now. And it is yet to be seen how us humans will demonstrate it. Okay, I was asked by my cosmic friends not to rephrase, but to repeat whatever they said. And it says like this: everything is available and accessible and in motion at all times. Okay? You know what it means? It means that there's no linear time. I mean, there is. Look, I'm going to have to stop in a few minutes. But still, everything is being poured into the present. Now, close your eyes for a second, and I'd like you to visualize a multi-versional universe of you. The self turns into a quantum self. Now, it's hard for us to perceive it or to think about it. This is science fiction or fantasy movies. I'm sorry to tell you that such a movie got the Oscar award last year, not only for the best movie, but also for the best leading actress. I think it's called Everywhere, All at Once, or something like that, where the lady there, Evelyn, has to rescue the world by bouncing from different dimensions and from different timelines. Now, I know it sounds fictional, but I don't mean that us physically will jump or bounce from one dimension to another. But if we are really ditching the old paradigm, and if the hierarchical linear and the differentiation paradigm is collapsing, a whole line of fears and anxieties and inhibitions and perceptions are going to and are collapsing at the same time. Look at the world. It's one big chaos. All right? So that third and final, as of now, phase of the transitional self has to do with us being much more intuitive. Because think about it, we won't have to go through life when our perception and interpretations are limiting us. And I know it sounds like we're just, this is how life is. It's a tunnel vision that we're getting so used to. And it takes the courage, because we are going to face choices. We are going to face opportunities. And we are going to face many more possibilities of being us in a different version that we cannot even think about. So courage is not only one thing to remember, the other is that you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe any of us talking about the self or the new world or transpersonal thought. You have to believe you. If you believe that you are it, then you need to take the courage, and you remember that when you lift up your leg and you're about to take the next step, and we are so afraid there will be nothing there to meet us and to support us. But that final stage that I'm talking about, when the personality gets dissolved in higher consciousness and other aspects of the soul can be downloaded by the personality, we're talking merging. You know what merging of the local and unlocal consciousness mean? It's two more words. It's really, really a whole new world. So I urge you, do not be afraid to take that step. And if I may, I think we worked hard, really, for thousands and maybe a lot of life incarnations. We worked so hard to study how particles move in space. And let us all give ourselves the opportunity to find space within a particle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liora, for this nourishing lecture.